Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Revolution Season 13, Tier 3, and it's round 15 of the season finale here at Zandvoort. Both championships have already been wrapped up by both Alpha Hypewall and his team Alpine. So it's going to be a race for fun, mainly. Well, of course, there's still the championship fight for the combined constructors, even though it's not that close, with V Carper being relatively comfortable out in front. But of course, they still want to score as many points as possible. But for Tier 3, nothing needs to be decided. So let's see who is going to be out on top today. We start off with the 18-minute qualifying session as per usual. 13 drivers today. Not the highest number that we've seen in this season, but that is what we're going to have to do with it for tonight. And first out on track is Panda in the Alpine, who scored a surprise pole position last week for the mystery round at Monza. Got second place in sprint qualifying, dropped back in the sprint race and finished outside the points after a post-race penalty. Then for main qualifying, he qualified on pole position, and in the end he finished in what was it, inside the top 5, I believe. Not quite too sure which position it was. It was P3 actually. He did finish on the podium for the first time in this season in Tier 3, of course. Former Tier 654 driver, and made his debut in Tier 3 a couple of races ago, and helped Alpha Hypewall to get Alpine the Constructors Championship. And he is the first one to start flying lap time. He drove in Tier 2 yesterday, so he has scored points in every single tier this season apart from Tier 1. So let's see if he's going to be able to continue that tonight here in Tier 3 as well, and get some more points on the board for the man who is currently sitting in P18 in the championship on 19 points. Of course, he joined halfway through the season, a bit after the halfway point actually, and it took him some time to get himself up to speed, but ever since he has been a regular points contender as he makes his way in towards the final chicane, which leaves just 2 corners remaining around this track to complete the lap. Out of the final corner, the banked corner, and it's going to be a 109.4 to start off with. Not a bad lap time at all. What about Shark in the Mercedes? What can he do? A 109.4 as well, a couple of thousandths off. Nexus goes quickest with a 109.1. Bit of a surprise seeing him going quickest. Then there comes probably with a 12.1. He must have backed up to Usteri in P4. He competed in Tier 2 yesterday as well. So did Armel, of course, a Tier 2 driver, currently pit a 9.7 in P6. Armel, who finished on the podium yesterday in Tier 2 for the first time that in the season, in Tier 2 at least. Of course, we know he scored a win in Tier 3 and got a few more podiums, but he hasn't been able to get a podium in Tier 2 up until yesterday, where he snatched away second place on the run towards the finish line of the final lap. So let's see if he's going to be able to go to keep up that streak and get himself maybe another podium here at Zandvoort. So Jaden is on an out lap down in P13, who got a top 5 in the sprint race last week. Got himself some good points, and then 2 more in the main race. Of course, only 12 drivers participated, or 12-13 maybe. He finished down in P11, but he did get himself some points. Ferrari, of course, 10th in the Constructors' Championship, bottom of the table, and 11 points behind Aston Martin. Ever since Dark Assassin stopped turning up the races, it's been very difficult for the prancing horses, as Jaden is about to start his first flying lap, going in towards turn 1. Tarzan, and then in towards it, a very quick right-hander, and straight in towards the banking of turn 3. Now we'll go up the hill towards Schijfvlak. A flat out section. It's flat out in qualifying. It can be flat out in qualifying with the right setup and with the right line. In the race, not always, especially with the dirty air, tire wear, things like that, fuel load, all factors that you have to take into account, which make the lap time slower compared to the ones we're seeing right now here in qualifying. As he comes towards the final sector, Hans Ernst chicane. And then out of Arie Luijendijk to finish off his lap time. Sean has started a lap time as well. Jesus out on track. Alpha Hypewall still in pit lane. Our champion. P9 it is for Jaden, just ahead of FGE Watson, who is making his debut tonight. And racing for Red Bull. Hopefully getting some good points. Sean then going on to the back straight. Where is he going to put himself? His teammate Mahmoudev, P6 with a 9.6. Make that a 9.5 as he just improves to P5. Very close. After Nexus, look at that. Panda with a 9.4 and then Twisteri in P6 with a 9.5. 1.5 tenths, and that is a big moment for Sean coming out of the penultimate corner. And I'm surprised he didn't get an invalidation, but he sure lost a lot of time with that. And the result is only a 10.6. To put him just inside the top 10. Jesus is going to start his fly lap. Alpha Hype Wall is on out lap as well. So he's going to attempt to set his banker lap in a few moments time. Big lock up there going in towards turn 3. Very easy to do. Turning and braking at the same time, always tricky. Have to find the right balance. Which is easier said than done. As he goes in towards turn 8, 9 and 10. Turns 9 and 10 are very similar to each other. And then in towards the chicane of turns 11 and 12. Appears to be purple in the middle sector, but of course always a bit misleading what the minimap displays. We'll see what it's going to be in reality when he is going to cross the line. The air is open through the final corner. Used to be just after, but now it is through the final corner as well. It's going to be a 9.9 to put him in P9. Very nice indeed. And what about Alpha Hype Wall? What about Nexus? Twisteri and Lennon, who is going to try and improve. He's up by 3 tenths through the middle sector, and he's going to go onto the front row with a 9.2. Great lap time indeed. Arbon was up by 3 tenths, but he is going to go back into the pit lane. So that is not going to be an improvement for the Red Bull driver. What about Nexus? He is not improving. He might just be starting his flying lap as he crosses the finish line. So we are going to focus on Alpha Hype Wall as he comes out of the final corner. Always a contender for pole position. He's got more than one pole position this season so far. Can he add another one to that tally? As he is going to go to a 9.6 for his first attempt, which puts him only in P8. Watson then improves his position to a 10.4 in P12. And then Twisteri up by 2 tenths in the middle sector. Currently 4 tenths down on Nexus, who is still sitting on provisional pole position. With a brilliant first lap, here comes Twisteri to the line, 9.3 and into P3. The Haas driver onto the second row, the Haas driver who is in the fight. Still for P3 in the Drivers' Championship. Arbon on 121 and Motive is 16 points behind. Twisteri is a further 6 points behind. Little scrap going on, of course. Arbon can still beat Jesus in the Drivers' Championship. He is, he's 20 points behind, and we know Jesus is a very consistent point scorer, so it's highly unlikely that that will happen. But you never know, anything can happen. Things like this can happen, for example, as Twisteri runs off the road. Coming out of turn 8. And straight into the gravel drive. In the meantime, Shark has improved to second place, and he's 7 thousandths of a second slower than Nexus. Incredibly close between the top 3. Mahmudev starts his flying lap. So not looking very quickly right now. As he goes through turn 1. His teammate, a couple of corners behind, is going to start a flying lap as well. Here we see Sean, who we saw had that big mistake coming out of the penultimate corner. So for sure he can find a couple of tenths there. Then again, he still needs to find around a second throughout the rest of the lap. That's right on board with the V-Carb. As he goes through turn 3, accelerating outwards and onto this short, flat out piece of track. Going from left to right up the hill. And he's up by a quarter of a second through sector 1. And we know there's more time to find, especially in the final sector, but potentially in the middle sector as well. As he goes on to the back straight, let's see how much time he has found in the middle sector. 4 tenths now, up 4.5, which could get himself just ahead of Jaden, but if he finds 3-4 tenths more in this final sector, he could very well be up with Jesus. But it's a big moment once again, this time on the inside, as he clipped the curb. Still not a perfect lap, but let's see what it's going to bring him. P11, just behind Jesus by 0.07 of a second. Mahmudev now has started a flying lap, but he's down by 1.5 tenths for the first sector. So then it's going to be hard to improve, because you first need to make up that deficit that you lost in sector 1 to only match your lap time, and you still want to improve. Panda just started another lap in P5. Let's see if he finds some time in the middle sector. He has, but still down on his time by 0.5 tenth. Is it going to be enough to improve? So we see the Alpine as well through the middle sector. Oh, big moment there coming out of the final corner for sure. He's lost time for that. He hasn't. He gained a lot of time in the final sector, but still, with that moment, there's still like a tenth or two in it. As he goes P6, just behind Panda, who is also not improving. But a big moment coming out of the final corner for Mahmudev. As we wait and see to see what Panda can do on this lap. Nothing, as he's going to go into the pit lane and will not try to improve with just over 4 minutes remaining. As Nexus has just gone off on his lap, it seems like. Just went to the grass potentially to let Mahmudev go. Who was going back into the pit lane. Nexus going quite out of sync with everyone else still in the pit lane. And with 4 minutes to go, is it quite early to be out there for your final run, as he's desperately weaving from left to right to get the temperature into the tires, of course. You don't want to wear them out too much, so weaving that excessively is probably going to do more harm than good, but each their own, as he is going to start another flying lap. Could it be a first pole position of the season? We're about to find out as he crosses the finish line with just over 3 minutes to go. And he aborts the lap immediately. So this lap time will not be an improvement. Arbon goes out as well in the Red Bull quite early to compare to everyone else, to maybe get himself 2 lap times in case he makes a mistake on the first one. So I would assume he brought some more fuel to be able to do 2 runs if necessary. Alpha Hype Wall and Froby out on track as well. track is about to get very busy in a few seconds, because we only got 2 minutes remaining. As Arbon starts another attempt, I say, but he is going to do another wild lap, so that explains why he went out so early, just to do 2 out laps. What about Nexus behind though, as Frobby or Lennons goes into the gravel trap, and that is Nexus trying to go around him, and he will not be very happy with that. The McLaren being in the way. And has that cost him? Yes, it has. Down by 76 thousandths of a second. Few more cars up ahead. Hopefully they will get out of the way in time. But it's not an ideal lap for Nexus. After that moment with Lennons, he's down by 2 tenths now, so it doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. Look at that bump through the chicane. And the Mercedes up ahead, not really getting out of the way either. In fact, he will get a slipstream of it, but he's not going to gain any time with it. A really frustrating lap, it seems like, from Nexus, who does not improve. And it's no surprise. It was Shark just ahead in the Mercedes. And Frobby is down by 1.1 seconds. Does he have the time to go for another? I think he has 26 seconds. It's going to be close, but should be able to. And then it is one of the V-Carbs. It is Sean, who is going to try and improve. He as well hit the bump through that chicane. Watson has taken the flag. He will start down in P13. And Sean is the first one to cross the line. Alpha Hype Wall is going back into the pit lane. He will not start any higher than P8 on the grid. Sean improves to P9. Just behind is Shark in the Mercedes, who misses out by pole position by still 7,000 of a second. He was unable to improve on his final lap time. Lennons has invalidated. He will not improve either. And someone has crashed. That is Watson in the pit lane. Not sure what happened there. Jaden stays in 10th place. What about Arbon? He is going back to the pit lane to see his teammate there on the pit wall. And down in P11 he is only. Tuosterry then goes quickest. Tuosterry is on pole position here at Zandvoort, unless anyone else can do something about it. And Mahmoudev can with a 9-0. And he breaks the Haas driver's heart with that final improvement. And we wait for Panda and Frobby to cross the line. Here comes the Alpine. Stays in P6. And Frobby is going to go up at the P6. Get ahead of Panda. But it is Mahmoudev on pole position by half a tenth ahead of Tuosterry. Nexus in P3 and Shark in P4. The top 4 separated by under a tenth of a second. Really close stuff between these 4. Then the 2 McLarens in P5 and 6. Very close behind as well. Panda in 7 and Jesus in 8. Alpha High Ball down in P9. Sean rounding out the top 10. Arbon 11. Jaden in 12th place. And Watson down in P13. But exciting end to the qualifying. And it's an extra point for Mahmoudev. And for a moment I thought it was going to be Tuosterry to get his first pole position. And here are your qualifying results. It's an RB on pole position, then it's a Haas, a Sauber, a Mercedes and a McLaren. 5 different teams occupying the top 5. Should make up for a great race. And it's quite overcast on track, but I don't think it's raining. I did see some comments in the the Discord chat about rain, potential rain. So who knows if it's going to come later on in the race. Would make things very interesting indeed. In Tier 2 it was rain and dry. Or dry rain and then dry again. Certainly rain affected that race. And it was very interesting to see. And it does seem like there is going to be rain involved in this race. So that is going to spice things up. And make things very interesting indeed. So, we know Mahmudev, he's won a race before this season. Don't remember which one. Check real quick. And Twisteri hasn't won a race. He won the sprint, the pre-season race at Barcelona. Nexus, of course, he hasn't won a race. Don't think he's been on the podium either. So a lot of these drivers here at the front could get some very good results this season. Yeah, Twisteri's best result is 2nd place. Nexus' best result this season is 8th place. And Mahmudev, he won at the Belgian Grand Prix. So who knows, can he get his 2nd win of the season? Definitely boost him up in the Drivers' Championship, although he's 16 points behind Arbon. So he could get himself in that P3 position at the end, especially with Arbon being down in P11. But we know he's got great pace. We saw some great pace from him yesterday in Tier 2. So without a doubt, he is going to be mixing himself well inside the top 5 at the end of the race. Should have the pace to do so at least. But anything can happen with the rain especially. Could get quite hectic. Here we go then. It's time for the season finale of Tier 3 Revolution Season 13. And the lights are out, and it's a great start from Mahmudev. Immediately is able to get remain in the lead in this race. There's contact behind as Shark slightly hit the back there. Afterwards there he finds himself wheel to wheel with Nexus through turn 1. The Sauber tries to go the long way around the outside, but unable to make it stick. Shark in P4, Lennon's in 5th place, and it's Panda trying to go up the inside of the McLaren and does so successfully with a great move from Panda. Bit of contact between the two, but eventually the McLaren slots back in behind. Sean in 7th, Dennis Robbie in 8th. Alpha Hypeball stayed in 9th place. Arvin gained a position to go to P10 with Jaden, then Watson, and it's Jesus with a poor start out of all of them. He is flopped down to P13, so I must have made some contact with someone through the first couple of corners. If we look at the tire strategies, it's the majority is on the hards, a few on mediums, and we see Arbon trying to go round the outside of Alpha Hype Wall, getting a better exit, and the champion has been demoted down to P10. In the background, that is Jaden fighting it out with Watson, but the Red Bull driver is unable to complete that move. But it's Mahmudev who still leads the way as we end the opening lap. He's on the mediums, should have the tire advantage. Twisteri in 2nd place and Nexus still in P3 as we start lap 2. DRS will now be enabled, but of course not on this straight yet. And it is Arbon already looking for another move, this time on Frobby for P8. But it's pretty difficult to overtake around this track, besides the start-finish straight in turn 1. After that it's most of the time just too narrow and at too high speed to have a real opportunity to try and overtake. And towards Terry, what he needs to do is stay within DRS range of the RB ahead of him. And looks like the rain is already coming. And that is surprising, because why did all of the drivers opt for the harder tire? Certainly interesting scenario indeed, as Jesus makes his way back up into P12. But the mediums, definitely the tire to be on, because it is starting to rain already on lap 2. Of course, it's going to take a few moments to really get slippery out there. Terry setting the fastest lap of the race. He's got the DRS, and that is Shark trying to go up the inside of Nexus through turn 1. Bit of contact between the two. And the Mercedes is going to go around the outside, and he takes P3 away from Nexus. Just behind Panda, looking to have a go at the Kicksauber. As he follows him up the hill through turn 7. DRS has been enabled, so Terry is going to get closer to the back of Mahmoudev. And it seems like this light rain, it's going to take a while before the Inters might get quicker than the Slicks. So it's going to be a few laps. Feels like driving on ice. As DRS is open for Terry, and is he going to try and go for the move on Mahmoudev in towards turn 1? He's going to try and line up a move in towards turn 1 as they go side by side. Tries to get his nose alongside, but Mahmoudev a little bit later on the brakes is able to maintain his line and maintain his position compared to the Haas. And here's Arbon fighting it out with Froby, but the McLaren stays in front of the Red Bull. Now on the exit, Arbon is all over the rear wing of Froby, but you really cannot overtake through Skyflak. Just too high speed and too narrow. Bit of a wider line there by Mahmoudev, and now Terry is very close to the RB. Will use this DRS to get even closer and to line up a move down the start-finish straight and towards turn 1. Even though Mahmoudev, he should have tire advantage in these laps, but he is unable to break away from the rest of the field. As Terry seems to be a little bit too far back. Or is he? As he goes to the inside of the RB, and Terry is going to take the lead of this race in towards turn 1. Goes to Haas. Mahmoudev drops a position, but we have got a new race leader in this race, and his name is Terry. Still searching for that first win this season. And now Shark will be looking to try and overtake Shark, who could have won for the first time last week at Monza, but he got a 3-second time penalty on the final lap, which dropped him behind Jesus. If he didn't get that penalty, then he would have won. Really, really unfortunate. And in the end, he finished, I think, P4. The man at the moment in P10 in the championship on 59 points. Definitely has been unlucky on a few occasions, but last week was just unfortunate and an own mistake that cost him the race win, as Terry has built a gap of already 8/9 of a second as we go towards the start-finish straight. And on to lap 6, Mahmoudev P2, Shark, then Nexus, and Panda in P5. It's surprising to see that the slicks are quicker for so many laps, despite it raining since lap 2. Also, Jesus, he's down on P12, he is struggling and he's got front wing damage. He's missing an end plate. The Williams is, which is not good news for the man second in the championship. But he also knows that Arbon needs to win in order to steal his position. And what has happened to Shark coming out of turn 10? He is looking very slow indeed. Did he make a mistake? Did he make contact? Did he clip the inside curb? He is down to 7th place, lost 4 positions. The Mercedes driver. And now Nexus is back through into P3. And another one of those moments for Shark this season. Oh, into the pit lane goes Mahmudev and Nexus. And Mahmudev gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane. And all due to Nexus hitting the back of the RB on the braking. And that is not great news for Mahmudev. And also not great news for Nexus, because he definitely hit the back there and caused Mahmudev to get himself a time penalty. And Mahmudev, yes, switched onto the hards, whilst Nexus has gone onto the intermediates. So, is that a mistake from Mahmudev, or does he think that the intermediates are not going to be quicker in this race? We'll find out. We've got a nice comparison with Nexus being right behind him on the intermediates. So we will see if he is going to be quicker. At the moment it seems like the slicks are still the tire you want to be on, because the gap between the two is already over a second. But it might not take long. And I also wonder if Nexus got a front wing damage. I don't think he has. So he got away with that. But I don't think he will get away with hitting Mahmudev into the pit lane and causing him to get a 10-second time penalty. Everyone else is going to continue on. Here comes Lennons to the inside of Panda to take 2nd place on track. The McLaren is ahead of the Alpine. And with this massive train down to Alpha High Ball in P8. Now 1.6 seconds between Mahmudev and Nexus, so the intermediates was a bit of a gamble for Nexus to go in that early, but it doesn't look like it has paid off for him, because he is still slower than the car in front of him. Not by much, but he is still losing time, especially down the straight. Panda under big pressure now from Sean in the RB. Panda, who started on the mediums, will be starting to feel the effects of tire wear. And will start to lose a bit more time. And it shows, because Sean is all over the back of the Alpine. And Panda, he does not have the DRS. Sean does. It's a bit of a risk opening the DRS through the final corner. Here goes the RB past him. Because Panda and Shark are both going to pull into the pit lane. And Panda gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane. And Shark finds himself stationary, so he must have gone sideways into the pit lane. And losing a few more seconds with that. But really unfortunate stuff. Panda now also with a time penalty. And both of them going on to intermediates. Mahmudev still continuing on these hards. Gap towards Nexus right now is 3.6 seconds. So definitely seems like the slicks are still quicker than the intermediates. Froby now in P4, bit of a gap towards Sean, and will be under pressure from Arbon, who is going to have the DRS, whilst the McLaren does not. The entire top 7 started on the hards. Jesus is still out there, and Watson as well, both on those mediums since lap 1. As that is a bit of a wider line from Froby as he hit the gravel trap, and for sure will be under attack from the Red Bull driver coming out of the final corner as we go on to lap 10. Look how treacherous it is to this final corner with the DRS, but here comes Arbon to the inside of Froby, and Arbon is up at the P4 from 11th on the grid. Of course, 4 drivers have already made their pit stop. All of them were ahead of him before they made their pit stop, but definitely seems like they will lose out due to the intermediates not being quick enough. Mahmudev gets past Watson, whilst Jesus makes his scheduled pit stop to go on the intermediates and also replacing his front wing in the process and dropping him down to last place, P13. Another second or two lost between Mahmudev and Nexus. Now, of course, if the rain is going to get heavier in a few moments time, then the intermediates will start to get quicker, and then Mahmudev will start to lose time, and then he will have to make another pit stop. But it definitely doesn't help Nexus and Panda's case that they will lose time to the ones still in the lead of the race. And what doesn't help them either is that moment there through turn 7. And Panda goes through, whilst Nexus went off track in the gravel out of Schijfvlak and losing a position in the process. Bit of contact between the two through turn 10. But Panda is now ahead of the Kicksauber. Into the pit lane comes Lennons and Sean. Everyone else stays out. Alpha High Wall tries to go to the inside of Frobby in towards turn 1. Jaden picks up a 10-second time penalty now for speeding in the pit lane. Frobby with the outside line runs into the gravel, which allows Alpha High Wall to go through and take that position. And we would have now back inside the top 5. And Lennons, as expected, comes out ahead of the likes of Nexus and Panda. And so does Sean. So they've effectively lost two positions with this strategy. Now let's see if Lennons is going to be quicker than Mahmudev. He is definitely not losing time anymore down the straights. Seems like the pace is pretty similar between the slicks and the intermediate, so we might just be on the turning point. And the intermediates are definitely not losing time anymore towards the slicks. So it might just be time now to make that pit stop onto the intermediates. Which is exactly what our race leader Twoosh Terry is going to do, but just keep it within the speed limit. And he doesn't. He picks up a 10-second time penalty. And it's so heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking for a man who was in a comfortable position in the lead. And now, with a 10-second time penalty, will pretty much be out of contention for the race win. And that is painful. That is very, very painful. Lennons is behind 3 seconds. Sterry is 2 seconds behind Mahmudev, but of course he needs to make that pit stop still. Arbon and Alpha High Wall still stayed out, but the intermediates are definitely quicker right now. Gap between Mahmudev and Twoosh Terry at the moment 2 seconds. But it is starting to come down once as the track gets worse. 2.1 as he comes out onto the back straight, make that 1.9. So definitely expect Arbon and Alpha High Wall to make their pit stop to the intermediates. This is now 1.7 between Mahmudev and Twoosh Terry. Here comes the Red Bull. Just keep it within the speed limit. That is all you need to do. The pit board has been broken, which might explain why Twoosh Terry exceeded the speed limit. Could have been a bit confusing. As Arbon puts on the intermediates, but Alpha High Wall continues on. Mahmudev also into the pit lane. So Twoosh Terry is back into second place. Where's Arbon going to come out compared to the ones who already made the pit stop? Behind Nexus, behind Panda in 7th place. So definitely lost a lot of time with going 1 lap later than everyone else. So seems like turning point was the last lap, as he finds himself a couple of seconds behind Lennons. Twoosh Terry now 1.6 ahead of Lennons, who is rapidly closing in on the Haas driver. Lennons, of course, I've mentioned it many times before this season. He started off this season very, very strongly, and he was leading the championship for a short period of time. Hasn't won a race this season, but he got a few podiums at the beginning and a few top 5, a few good results. But ever since the opening 5 races, he has just dropped off completely for the McLaren driver, down 7th place in the standings on 92. But today, it looks like he might get himself another opportunity to not only get another podium, but maybe even win. Especially with Tuesday's 10-second time penalty. Alpha will finally makes his pit stop. But he will come out, I think, behind Frobby even in the McLaren in P10. Or maybe just ahead of the McLaren. He will be behind the Ferrari, but now he's going to be behind the McLaren as well. So P10 for Alpha Hype Wall. Oh, ever since he claimed the championship, hasn't had the best of races. Last week at Monza, he got himself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well. Got himself a puncture, he got himself a 3-second time penalty. Finished in P6 eventually, despite winning the sprint race. But the main race didn't go so great for him. Currently he's down on P10 and not in contention for the race win. Arbon, he's found the way past Panda. Now he's going to try and find a way past Nexus as well. For P4, and then he can chase after Sean and Lennons. Who is now under a second behind Tuesday. As they come out of the final corner, the Haas and the McLaren 3 seconds ahead of Sean in P3. Nexus then in P4, but will be under pressure from Arbon, who doesn't get the best run out of the final corner, but he still is going to go for the move in towards turn 1. Arbon to the inside, Nexus on the outside, as they go side by side. And now the inside line is for Arbon, but the better traction is for Nexus, but he runs out wide in the gravel, and through goes the Red Bull. Arbon's up to P4. Alpha Hype Wall back up into P9, he's got ahead of Frobby with a 2-lap tire advantage. Whilst Lennons is very close to the back now of Tuesday. So at least I hope for Tuesday's sake that he doesn't win on track. Because then the 10-second time penalty wouldn't have made the difference. And it looks like Panda has gone off through turn 8. Lost the position to Shark, might lose another one to Jaden. Both of them with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Down in P7 and P8. Definitely not a race for Alpine, it seems like. And Lennons now closing in on Tuesday. He's going to pull to the inside onto lap 16, and Lennons is going to take the lead of this race. A new race leader just before the halfway point of this race. And it is Lennons in the McLaren finally leads the race again this season. Shark fighting it out with Nexus through turn 1. The Mercedes is on the outside and has the better traction. And there is nothing Nexus can do to defend. And almost goes off. He's got front wing damage as well. And Shark now up at the P5. Could try and chase after Arbon. Well, the gap between the two is already 4 seconds. And Arbon has closed the gap already towards Sean. He's definitely got some strong pace out there to get another podium result. From 11th on the grid. He just wants to get those driver of the days. Yesterday in tier 2 from P12 to P2. I think it was P12. Yeah, it was. And today from P11 to a potential podium as well. Lennons already has built a 1.4 second gap towards Tuesday as we go to lap 17 of 36. And Arbon, he is 6 tenths behind of Sean as DRS has been disabled finally. After driving in the rain for 15 laps. Took 15 laps to disable the DRS apparently. Which is going to make overtaking a lot more difficult. Alpha Hype Wall gets past Jaden because Panda's gone into the pit lane to serve his 10-second time penalty and also put on a new set of intermediates. And I think it is going to be a 2-stop. Because intermediates definitely do not last 25 laps or 20 laps And definitely not 30 in Nexus' case, who's down in P6. Albon, he is closing in. And could potentially go for the move down the start-finish straight, but without DRS, it will be a lot more difficult. But knowing him, he probably is running a little bit of a lower downforce setup. We'll see if he is able to close up. Sean on the inside, there is nothing he can do. And Albon is going to blast through into P3. P11 to the podium. And is now under 3 seconds behind Twisteri for second place. Of course, Twisteri has got that 10-second time penalty, which he will probably have to serve when they make another pit stop on the intermediates. Alpha High, whoa, close to the back of Nexus. Does he dare to go to the move and go for the move in turn 6? Not quite, but Nexus is almost sideways on exit. Really struggling in these conditions. And Alpha High Wall is going to have a go because Nexus has gone off track coming out of turn 8. And through goes the Alpine, through goes the Ferrari. Jaden is up at the P7, Nexus down to 8. Just look at that. Look how much he is pushing. Look how much he is struggling. And he's got a puncture. Has he got? He's got a rear left puncture. Yes, he has, I think. That is why he is struggling. After only 11 laps on the intermediates, there is a puncture for the Kick Sauber driver. Probably will go through with ease. But the Kick Sauber's off into the gravel. And he is going to have to come into the pit lane to replace that. Replace the intermediates that he's currently on. Watch out though on pit entry, might get a bit tricky. And he's just about kept it straight. So an early pit stop, only 11 laps on the intermediates. So definitely is going to be a 2-stop at least. Maybe even a 3-stop for some of these drivers. Yellow flags are out at the front, and it's Lennons who made a mistake from the lead of the race. He's gone off in turn 8. And Twisteri all over the back of the McLaren. And Albon is there as well. Albon is there as well in this fight for the lead. It has turned into a 3-way fight for the race win here at Zandvoort. And definitely between Lennons and Albon, because Twisteri, he's got that penalty. He will drop behind once they make their pit stop. But that is great news for Albon, because now he is not 4 or 5 seconds behind the McLaren, but only 2. Or 1.5. But he still needs to find a way past Twisteri in these following laps. Panda gets past Nexus, who is down in last place. Got such a good qualifying, and through goes Albon on Twisteri. Did not expect at all for him to be alongside the Haas. Thought he was too far behind going in towards turn 1. But apparently he put himself alongside and he's got himself past the Haas driver, and he is up into second place. And the gap towards Lennons is 2 seconds right now. Can he close that gap as Jaden makes his second pit stop? Also having to serve a 10-second time penalty, and so dropping behind to last place. But it's a genuine fight between Lennons and Albon for the race win. .6 is the gap between the two. And Red Bull is starting to close in. Watson, he's still been on these hards on this stint. I'm not sure what he is trying to do with this strategy. Panda goes through. Nexus will try to get past as well. Currently a bit stuck behind. He goes up the inside. Bit of contact between the two. And the Red Bull has to go off track. And is down at P12. He's the only one to still be on the slicks. Definitely an interesting strategy. But to be fair to him, he hasn't lost that much time through the rest of the field. He was still able to be ahead of Panda and Nexus when they made their second stop. But now will get overtaken by Jaden around the outside into the penultimate corner. The Ferrari is back inside the points. 1.1 seconds. Albon is really gaining on the McLaren driver. .710s, of course, no DRS having been disabled. We've got 15 laps remaining, and ideally you want to make one more stop and not two. So they're gonna have to extend this stint by at least a few more laps. But it's definitely not gonna be easy, especially given that Nexus had a puncture at 11 laps on the intermediates. But of course, he was on those inters when it was still a drying track, or, well, the opposite of that. When the track was still dry and starting to get wet, so of course there's more tire involved in that stage as Jesus dives off into the pit lane after 12 laps to another set of intermediates, and he is going to have to do 15 laps on those. And drops outside the top 10. Close behind this fight between Panda and Nexus. Fight at the moment for P9. So we see Nexus with a very nice half helmet of Esteban. Look at the straight line speed he's got. He's going to try to go round the outside in towards Skyflak, but that is not going to work out. It's an optimistic attempt, but that was never going to work out. And he slots back in behind. And Panda remains in 9th place. Now Jesus is going to involve himself into this fight as well. Into the pit lane come Twisteri and Sean. Oh! And it really cannot get any worse for Twisteri. He got a 10-second tire penalty on his first pit stop. And now, just as he was going to serve that penalty, get out again, he gets another 10-second tire penalty. But this time, because Sean pushed him into the pit lane. Obviously, he is going to be able to remove that. And he's gone onto the hards. He has gone onto a set of hards, and I'm not sure why. Clearly, the hards are not the quickest tire. We see Watson, he's fallen behind 11 seconds, 12 seconds to Jaden, who was overtaken 2 laps ago. So I'm not really sure what Twisteri is thinking right now to put on a set of hards. It could have been a genuine mistake if he selected the wrong tire. If it wasn't, then, well, I don't know, but the hards, I don't think they will be quick enough to match the intermediates. Even though he's not losing too much time, he lost 4 or 5 tenths through that corner. And our 2 race leaders are putting into the pit lane, Dens and Arbon, for their final stint on the intermediates, which has given Shark the lead of this race ahead of Alpha Hype Wall. And Shark, he's been on the intermediates for 15 laps and he's still going without a puncture. So well done to him, great management. Mahmoudev is going to get past Froby in towards turn 1 to put himself back inside the top 5, but he is a full pit stop behind our 2 former race leaders. And Twisteri is now lost the full 1 second towards Sean, it's now 13. Nexus and Jesus and Panda fighting it out in towards turn 1. Jesus gets past Panda and now looks to get past Nexus as well. Panda's dropped outside the top 10. Nexus still going strong despite his front wing damage. And these 2 will be closing up to Twisteri, who's on the hard compound tire. And when are these two gonna pull into the pit lane? Are they gonna try and go for the one stop? Well, Shark definitely wouldn't be able to with having to do 12 more laps on the intermediates, and he is pulling off to the side to make his final pit stop. Alpha Hype Wall is gonna continue on though for at least another lap. And the gap towards Lennons is 8.5 seconds, I believe. Yeah, it is. But it's coming down rapidly. And Arbon has lost out a few tenths towards Lennons. It's now around 1 second. And Alpha Hype will definitely losing a lot of time on these older intermediates. Does he dare to go for the one stop? We saw him getting a puncture in Monza. We saw Nexus get a puncture early on in this race after 11 laps. And Alpha Hype Wall, he is going to have to do 22. DRS has been enabled. And that explains the decision from Tuasteri to make that second pit stop onto the hards. And it also explains why Alpha Hype Wall has decided to stay out. Because now the slicks might be the quicker tire again. And which is a huge mistake, by the way, from Lens and Arbon. Because they just pitted onto a brand new set of intermediates. And would you believe it, but Alpha Hype Wall is back in contention for the race win. Unbelievable. Mahmudev is going to make a pit stop. Sean goes through to P4. And I wonder which tire Mahmudev is going to go on. Shark and Frobby are almost going to go side by side to the pit lane. Frobby is going to stay just ahead though. And it is going to be a set of hards for Mahmudev. Is it going to be a set of hards for Shark as well? Or mediums for him and Frobby? And another 10-second time penalty for Panda for speeding in the pit lane, as everyone else behind makes their pit stop. Nexus and Jesus on the mediums, Jaden and Panda on the hards. And Watson, well, he just pretty much got his strategy flipped. He was on the hards when everyone else was on the mediums, and now he's on the intermediates when everyone else is on the slicks. And it has right up. It has stopped raining in this race. So the top three are going to make a pit stop, and Alpha Hype Wall will emerge out into the lead of this race with 10 laps to go. Here comes the Alpine to make his pit stop. Lennons comes in as well. Arbon is going to continue on for another lap, just like he did on his first stint. It didn't pay off too well for him. So hards go on, the Alpine and the McLaren. Sean into the pit lane. Yellow flags were out for Nexus, I believe. And Sean is going to fit a set of mediums. And Arbon is likely going to do the same thing. Tuasteri now up into P4. How far is he behind? He is 3-4 seconds behind Alpha Hype Wall and Lennons. And the gap between our two race leaders is 15 seconds right now. But let's see how much Alpha Hype Wall will be quicker on this lap. At the moment, not much compared to the Red Bull. And if Arbon doesn't lose too much time by extending another lap, it will help him out, because he can go to the mediums and have the tire advantage. So it's not a bad strategy at all to stay out for one more lap. In fact, he's gaining time on Alpha Hype Wall. It's now 15.5. But it will start to come down soon, but he is going to continue on for one more lap, on to lap 28. 9 laps to go. And the gap at the front has grown to 15.6, but now it's coming down again. As it feels like the tires are going to be quicker, the slicks are going to be quicker. Watson has retired in the pit lane, becomes our first retirement after 28 laps of racing. Lennons has now closed up to the back of Alpha Hype Wall. Now the gap is really coming down between our top two. 14.8 as we go into turn 3. So a pit stop is definitely going to be necessary for Arbon if he wants to have any chance of still winning this race. Shark makes his pit stop to go into the pit lane. Jesus and Nexus are fighting it out. So are Jaden and Panda in towards turn 1. The Alpine gets ahead of the Ferrari. Put himself back inside the top 10. Full second lost for Arbon on this lap. But he is going to continue on. He is going to continue on. And I think that is going to cost him. It is going to cost him a lot. Because I believe the Alpha Wall and Netherlands will be able to close that gap in these final 8 laps. They've gained over a second on this one. Lennons is going to go to the inside though of Alpha Wall to take away second place and potentially the lead of this race. Lennons ahead of the Alpine. And the McLaren is back out in front to trace after Arbon. And the gap to him has gone down again to 13 seconds. Jesus gets past Nexus and he is up into P8. The Sauers dropped to P9 and Panda and Jaden still fighting it out for P10. And once again the Alpine is in front of the Ferrari driver. Meanwhile the gap at the front is now 12.3, it is coming down even quicker. And it will be for these final 7 laps. Arbon has lost around 2 seconds on this lap. And with that trend for these final 7 laps, he will definitely be behind Lennons and Alpha Hype Wall. Also behind Twisteri potentially and Sean and Mahmoudov maybe. Oh, into the wall goes Sean, coming out of the final corner. And picking up front wing damage, he must have drifted wide due to the outside curb. And there's an end plate missing on the RB. Mahmoudov has taken away his position in P5. A bit of a mistake there from Sean, who will lose out now due to that downforce loss. Definitely an interesting fight at the front, but the gap is now 9.5. Another 2 seconds gained for Lennons, and there are still 6 laps remaining. And yellow flags are out because of Nexus in turn 3. He has crashed. And he has lost a bit of his front wing. Spins around for good measure. As he resumes his race down in P11. But now missing another end plate. And without a doubt will be coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. 8.4 seconds, 6 laps to go. Alpha Hype Wall has fallen out of DRS range. It is a fight between Arbon and Lennons, like it has been for the majority of this race, but this is a different fight. It's not a straight on track fight, as Jesus sets the fastest up a race with a 12.9. To give himself an extra point. Look at the gap now, 6.6 seconds. 2 more seconds gained and we're only halfway through the lap. At this rate, Arbon might finish down in P6. Nexus has retired in pit lane to make it 2 retirements. But I think Arbon is looking at a P6 finish. By the way, he is losing time. It's 3 seconds on this lap. That is lost towards Lennons, who sets the fastest lap of the race, 12.9. We can see what Arbon did on the previous lap. He did a 16.2. So that is almost 3.5 seconds. Twisteri with the fastest lap of the race, 12.8. He's still on for a podium finish because he can get the 10 second time penalty removed afterwards. And Jesus goes quicker again, 12.8. And now Panda with a 12.2. Half a second quicker. And the gap is now under 3 seconds between our two race leaders, and at the end, or well, probably halfway through the next lap, Lennons is going to be all over the back of Arbon to take away the lead of this race. It's now 2 seconds as we go on to lap 33 of 36. 4 laps remain in the season finale here in Tier 3. Alpha Hypo has lost a bit of time, he's 1.2 seconds behind. But Lennons could potentially lose some time behind Arbon. Who definitely knows that the win is not on anymore. Unless there's a safety car right now. But it's not looking likely. And there he is, the McLaren has arrived. At the back of the Red Bull, he's going to have the DRS coming out of this corner, he's going to have the tire advantage, he's going to have the better grip, the better traction. And he's going to try and go around the outside in towards chicane, and Lennons is into the lead of this race on track. And the McLaren is back out in front, like he was before in this race, and Arbon is down to second place. And it's going to be a matter of time before Alpha Hype Wall comes around to snatch away this position. There he goes, the Alpine on the outside. The Red Bull still on the inside, but the Alpine just can go much later on the brakes with the tires. And Alpha Hypewall takes second place. Arbon now down to P3, the gap towards Twush-Terry is 2.7 seconds. To be fair to him, P5 might still be on. Because Sean is, well, now 4.7 seconds behind due to his front wing damage. So it could still be a top 5 finish for Arbon, but definitely not a position he would have wanted to be in when he was in a fight for the race win. But decided to stay out rather than come in like everyone else did around him. Tried to go for the gamble, but unfortunately failed. And now these final few laps are extra painful. Just want it to finish, just want the race to finish, want the race to end. But he has to go on for 3 more laps. And Twush-Terry is at the back. And he doesn't have the DRS, but he will be very close behind. We're on to the penultimate lap of this race. Lennons leads by 1.1 seconds, and at the moment he is doing enough to get himself his first race win of the season. Which would be quite something. It would be McLaren's second. As Twush-Terry, he has already got past, and he's up at the P3. And now Mahmoudev will come knocking on the Red Bull's door. And, well, tempted to go to the inside there. But now with the better traction, he's going to go around the outside of turn 10. And through goes the RB to take P4, whilst Shark sets the fast lap of the race. Now the gap between Arbon and Sean is 5.5 seconds. Might be close between these two. But he might just be able to just get that position and remain in 5th position. But we're going to go on to the final lap of this race, the final lap of the Tier 3 season. And it's going to conclude here at Zandvoort with a potential win for Lennons. A podium for our champion from 9th on the grid. And a podium for Twush-Terry. Even though he will drop behind, he will be able to get the penalty removed. He is still under pressure though from Mahmoudev, who might try and go for the move on this final lap. Panda gets the point now for the fastest lap. Look how close he is getting to the back of Tuasteri, who has got a 3-lap tire disadvantage. But it looks like he is just a little bit too far behind to have a real opportunity going in towards chicane. Yellow flags are out in the middle sector, but here comes the McLaren of Lennons, who is finally going to do it this season. At last, Lennons is going to win the race this season as he wins the Dutch Grand Prix. And the McLaren is on top here at Zandvoort. Alpha Hype Wall takes second place. Mahmoudev, he's got ahead of Tuasteri on the line. It was a drag race between the two, but I think Tuasteri just was able to stay in front. I think it was 9.9 between the two, so he definitely got ahead of him. And will be ahead of him once he gets the penalty removed. Arbon in P4 with Sean in P5. Just ahead of Tuasteri right now. Robbie in 7th place, Jesus in P8. Jaden in 9th for some more points. Panda in P10. And he's run out of fuel, I think, which is why the yellow flag was out. And Shark will finish this race in P11 to get the final 2 points. But what a race. And what a performance from Lennons. A very well deserved win. Very well played strategically. And a great pace. Managed the tires. And he got it done in the end. And finally can call himself a race winner this season. Lennons is your winner of the Dutch Grand Prix. And that concludes the end of this season, the end of season 13 in Tier 3. It might take some time before we get back for the new season, but when we do, it is going to be a great spectacle again, for sure. But tonight we can celebrate what a great season this has been. And congratulations once more to Alpha Highball and Alpine on their championships, and congratulations to Lennons, your winner tonight here in Zandvoort. Panda gets the point for the fastest lap. But that is it then. Season 13. It is over. Tomorrow is the final race of the season, truly the final race of the season for Tier 5. And then this season of Revolution. The inaugural season of Revolution will be concluded. Either way, it has been a pleasure to commentate once more this season for Tier 3, like I have been for the past couple of seasons. Always have enjoyed it. Always will. And I'm looking forward to be back at it again next season. But thank you all who tuned in this season through any of the streams. Thank you who tuned in tonight for the season finale. Hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. But that's it from me tonight. And I'll be back very, very soon. So enjoy your evening and